Most people know Wrecker Rick as the gravel-voiced tow legend who fearlessly drags giant rigs out of mud pits like it's nothing. But behind the booming recoveries and custom builds, something happened that left fans confused and asking the same question over and over. What really happened to Wrecker Rick? One day the uploads slowed, the energy shifted, and rumors spread faster than a diesel runaway. People thought he vanished, quit, or faced something far darker. But the real story is way more unexpected. And it starts long before the silence everyone noticed. Rick Murphy didn't set out to become a YouTube figure. He was a small-town diesel guy with a shop, a family, and a reputation for tackling the kind of wrecks other crews didn't want to touch. When Murphy's Diesel first hit YouTube, the channel wasn't flashy. It was raw, gritty, and honest. The kind of content people trust because it doesn't pretend to be anything else. Rick's deep voice, straightforward attitude, and let's just get this done approach made him instantly recognizable. As videos started pulling in views, the shop grew. What used to be one location turned into multiple operations. Suddenly, Rick wasn't just a tow man. He was a brand. Merch sales took off, fans started showing up at the shop, and every recovery became a potential viral hit. But that momentum came at a cost. While the audience saw the big rigs and wild recoveries, they didn't see the pressure piling up behind the scenes. Growth isn't always smooth, and for Rick, the spotlight came with new expectations from viewers, customers, and even his own team. And that pressure is exactly where the first signs of change began to show, long before anyone noticed. Behind the beard, the attitude, and the giant machines is a guy who built everything from the ground up. Rick has always been hands-on. Welding, fabricating, fixing, towing, problem-solving. He didn't come from a media background, and he wasn't trying to play a character for the camera. What you saw was exactly who he was, but the more the channel grew, the harder it became to balance the real work with the content people were hungry for. Most fans don't realize how much goes into heavy recovery: long hours, dangerous conditions, non-stop calls, and tight schedules. Add filming on top of that, and suddenly a job that was already draining becomes something that follows you home. Rick started taking on more responsibility than one person realistically could. Between running the business, managing the expanding shop, building massive custom rigs, and keeping the channel alive, he was burning the candle at both ends. That showed up in the videos. Not immediately, but slowly. A missed upload here, a quieter tone there. Fans sensed something was off, even before Rick said anything, and soon people started to speculate, loudly. But the truth behind his slowdown was nothing like the rumors. When uploads started coming less frequently, social media lit up with theories. Some viewers thought he walked away. Others whispered about deeper problems or behind-the-scenes conflict. A few even claimed he'd disappeared entirely. But none of that was accurate. What really happened was far more human and far easier to overlook. Rick was exhausted. Running a fast-growing business while trying to stay present for family is a tightrope, and he'd been balancing it for years. The non-stop pace of YouTube only added to the load. Instead of taking a public break or making a dramatic announcement, he simply stepped back when he needed to breathe. No theatrics, no crisis, just a guy taking space. That quiet pause, however, created a vacuum online. And whenever there's a vacuum, rumors rush in to fill it. People posted comments asking if he was okay. Others worried something serious had happened. Some flat out assumed the worst. But behind the scenes, Rick wasn't gone at all. He was reassessing, reorganizing, and deciding what actually mattered going forward. And that internal shift led him toward one of the biggest and boldest projects Murphy's Diesel had ever attempted. Instead of fading out, Rick came back swinging, with a project so massive it caught the whole recovery world off guard. He decided to build a monster, a towering off-road wrecker made from a 1969 Peterbilt. Not a restoration, not a quick upgrade, a complete transformation into what some people now consider the largest off-road recovery truck ever attempted. The build was wild. Giant steel components, custom fabrication, oversized winches, reinforced everything. It was the kind of project that reminds people exactly why Murphy's Diesel stands out. Not because of flashy editing, but because they do things other shops wouldn't even try. The videos documenting the process reignited the channel. Fans who thought Rick had stepped away suddenly realized he'd been working on something bigger than anyone expected. This project didn't just bring new attention to the channel. It gave Rick new energy. For the first time in a while, he wasn't just grinding through work, he was creating something that pushed the limits of what a recovery truck could be. And that shift changed the tone of everything going forward. But not everyone reacted the same way. Whenever someone rises fast, opinions follow. And Wrecker Rick wasn't an exception. As Murphy's Diesel grew, online discussions split into two sides. Some viewers praised Rick for staying authentic, calling him one of the few creators who kept it real while showing the gritty, unfiltered side of heavy recovery. Others weren't as impressed. A handful of people online argued the videos felt slower or said certain moments seemed staged for the camera. Then there were fans comparing him to other recovery channels, sparking debates about who was better, tougher, or more entertaining. But here's what most people don't realize. Rick never tried to be a YouTuber first. He wasn't chasing perfect thumbnails or scripted drama. He was showing the work he already did every single day. So when the criticism hit, it wasn't because he'd changed. It was because the audience had grown large enough to have opinions on everything. Still, despite all the chatter, there was one thing everyone agreed on. Rick knew his craft. Whether they loved the content or questioned it, viewers kept watching because the stakes were real, the jobs were dangerous, and the results were undeniable. And that's exactly why his next chapter caught so many people off guard. After months of rumors and speculation, fans wanted to know one thing: where is Rick now? The answer surprised almost everyone. Rick never vanished, he simply shifted focus. Behind the scenes, he was still working full-time in heavy recovery, still running his shop, still building rigs, and still doing the kind of high-risk jobs only a few crews in the region could handle. The quieter posting schedule wasn't a disappearance. It was Rick choosing balance over burnout. And while people online were theorizing, he was deep into new projects with his team, including further upgrades to the giant off-road wrecker. He didn't feel the need to blast constant updates on social media or explain every step of the process. That's never been his style. For Rick, the work speaks louder than any online announcement. When new videos finally dropped, they confirmed what longtime fans suspected. He was still here, still grinding, and still pushing the limits of what Murphy's Diesel could do. The man hadn't gone anywhere. He'd just stepped out of the spotlight long enough to breathe, regroup, and come back stronger. And once people realized that, the question shifted from where did he go to what comes next. The future of Murphy's Diesel is shaping into something bigger than a typical recovery channel. Rick's giant off-road wrecker project opened up the door to a whole new wave of content. More fabrication, more builds, and more behind-the-scenes looks at how these massive machines are created. But beyond that, Rick seems to be stepping into a phase where he chooses his projects more intentionally. Instead of racing to upload every week, he's focusing on moments that actually matter. The kind viewers remember because they show something real. Fans are starting to appreciate this shift. It feels less like content for content's sake, and more like watching a craftsman document his work when he actually has something worth sharing. And in an era where creators constantly push quantity over quality, Rick's slower, more deliberate approach is refreshing. There are quiet hints of even bigger things coming. More custom trucks, more large-scale recoveries, and possibly collaborations that could shake up the entire off-road recovery scene. Nothing is confirmed, but the pieces are there, and fans are paying attention. One thing is clear, Rick isn't winding down, he's leveling up. And the mystery around his brakes only made the comeback more powerful. So what really happened to Wrecker Rick from Murphy's Diesel? The answer is both simpler and more meaningful than the rumors ever suggested. He didn't disappear, and he didn't fall into some dramatic meltdown. He did what real people do when life gets overwhelming. He stepped back, regrouped, and came back with something massive in the works. Rick's story isn't about scandal or downfall. It's about someone who built a business from the ground up, pushed himself harder than most people ever see, and finally realized he needed to breathe before the pressure crushed everything he'd built. That break wasn't a setback. It was a reset. Now Murphy's Diesel stands in a stronger position than ever. The Monster Wrecker project reignited attention. The shop continues to grow, and Rick is choosing a pace that keeps him sharp rather than burned out. Fans who stuck around are seeing a new era unfold, one with bigger builds, smarter decisions, and a clearer vision of what Murphy's Diesel can become. And maybe that's the real twist. Rick didn't fade away. He evolved. And he's proving that sometimes the most unexpected comeback starts with a moment of silence.